Oh my God. It's good. Batman Bad Blood. I'm stunned. I am in shock. If you saw my review of Justice League versus Teen Titans, you know how little I was looking for. You know what? Just play the clip. I don't want to do Batman Bad Blood. I really don't. Yeah, I was not looking forward to this at all. I was seriously considering skipping it. But guys, it's good. It's not just better than this new 52 based continuity of films that they've done. So it's not just relative. It's good. Now, coming out of the film, I had to actually think, how is it that this was good, but then Justice League versus Teen Titans, which actually was made and came out after this, but I reviewed it first, that was so much worse. So how did they fix the problems? Then the problems came back. Well, here's the thing. When I look at this film closely, they didn't actually fix the problems, they just worked around them. And by that I mean there are three major problems that I have had with most of the new 52 based animated films, with the Batman ones in particular. One, Damian Wayne. Hate him. Two, Batman's moral compass has really been out of whack because they want to have this really hard-hitting, very harsh violence, and yet he's still espousing, we have to be non-lethal, and it's not jibing. And then three, the fight scenes have been really dull, really boring. They're just punch-ups, and I'm sick of them. This movie finds ways around all three of them. First of all, Damian, while he does appear in it, he is not the central focus, and he's taken off the boards for a lot of this movie. He gets incapacitated, he gets restrained, he gets restricted, he gets hurt. I suppose I'll mention at this point, I'm going to do my normal rambling thing. I'm going to actually try and keep spoilers to a minimum in this case because, I actually think it's worth seeing, and I don't like spoiling stuff that I think is good unless that's the point of the review. So there will be some, but I'll try and keep them to a minimum. But anyway, so they managed to minimize Damian, and then as far as Batman is concerned, since the plot of the film is actually that Batman is missing, presumed dead, that means he's not in it for most of the time, and the other characters who are here don't have established as strictly non-lethal. Heck, Batwoman uses guns, so the fact that characters are getting obviously killed in their fights with the various Bat family members is fine, because not only is Batman not the person fighting them, he's not even commanding them, so they're kind of doing their own thing, so that fixes that problem. And there's enough variety in the people that we have fighting that it keeps the fights interesting, because we've got an aerial aspect, because we get Batwing, who's a character I actually don't know, but he's got a tech suit and he's flying around and he's dealing with Killer Moth and a flying version of Firefly, so that sort of adds a different layer that's more interesting than the on-the-ground punch-ups we've been getting. But even in terms of the punch-ups, there's enough going on at the same time in almost any given fight scene, because you've got Batwoman fighting somebody, you've got Nightwing fighting somebody, you've got Batwing fighting somebody, you've got Damian fighting somebody, and they can cut between those fights, and that keeps it interesting. When it was fights like the Batman versus Damian fight and Batman versus Robin, it just stays on these two as they go and they dodge and they punch, and it got so boring. This one, it can break it up and move from this one to this one, and this one's going badly, but then it cuts over here and this one's going better, and it just keeps it lively, keeps it from getting boring. Finally, thank God. Another nice thing, all the voice acting is good. Well, not all the voice acting. Damian, as I said, is still insufferable, but the sting is taken off that, not only because he gets minimized in terms of how frequently he appears, but because he's not around Batman, and he's not around characters who feel obligated, like they have to bond with him, because, in Batman's case, it's his kid. He's around characters who are fine, basically telling him to shut up. The villains are much better in this. One of the big ones is the Heretic, who again is a character I don't know, but I found him interesting right off the bat in terms of look and feel and vibe, and then once I found out more about him, I found him really intriguing as a concept and the way he was being used. I think the villain stuff that happens in the second half of the movie isn't quite as good. It sort of hits a peak as we learn more about Heretic, and then things get not bad, but they get oversimplified, but the action stays good, so it's able to kind of steamroll over that issue. Batwoman, oh wow, Batwoman. First of all, her look, her design, gorgeous. I love the design of this character, and I love the way she moves. I love the way the hair moves and the cape. It's just awesome. Love it. And another great thing, and not that this had necessarily been a problem in New 52 based stories in particular, but it is a frequent issue with superhero stories, particularly dealing with younger characters, which is that whoever they're trying to hide their secret identity from. This one has basically none of that. There's one toss-off side thing that Dick Grayson has a girlfriend who doesn't know, but that's basically used as a joke. Everyone else, everybody knows who everyone is. There's no sidestepping around like, oh, I can't let you know who I am, and this important person in my life doesn't know. Everybody knows. So that BS is gone, and we can just focus on the stuff that works and the action and the mystery behind what's going on. And the mystery is pretty good. I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Batman is not dead. I think you could figure that out, but what actually is happening, who's involved, and how it's panning out is really interesting to watch unfold. Bonus props, Alfred! Alfred's really good in this one. If I have any complaints that are beyond nitpicks, there's a certain aspect involved in the conclusion that gets a bit... It's kind of cheesy, and I can't really say more than that without spoiling it, but, you know, it's not bad. It works, but I saw it coming, and it's kind of dull, and it's kind of predictable, but it didn't drag the thing down, and it didn't kill the movie, because this is around like where Assault on Arkham was, which I had honestly come to believe that the only reason Assault on Arkham worked was because it was not actually part of this continuity and they weren't stuck with all the bad decisions this continuity has made. Now, the thing is, I can't say that this gives me hope for this continuity anymore because I've seen Justice League versus Teen Titans, which, as I say, came out after this and was terrible. And actually, what it kind of tells me is the characters that they've been focusing on up to this point are the problem, because this was directed by the same guy who directed Batman vs. Robin, which was awful. But once you give him a story where there's very little Batman and very little Robin, it works and it's really good. So I'm gonna blame these characters, and I'm gonna blame the New 52 version of these characters. But that's me getting in a down mode on the thing overall. But this one, this particular one, even if you don't like the stuff based on the New 52 up to this point, give it a watch, give it a chance. You may be pleasantly surprised, because I certainly was. So that's it from me on this one, guys. Batman Bad Blood. Have you seen it? What were your thoughts on it? Whatever they were, drop something down in the comments and let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at Council of Geeks. Check out the Council of Geeks podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. And as for me, I'll be back as soon as I can get my next fix.